Hi everyone. I just wanted to revisit Brother Joshua's message that he posted a video on his website Exodus 2025 on the 10th of August this year regarding Jesus returning in the Festival of Trumpets on the 23rd and 24th of September 25. And he'll also return in the Festival Day of Atonement 15th of September 2032. So I have here some information that's very interesting and I'd like to share that with you. So first of all, I've had to reconstruct a full calendar which is done in Excel, and all this information is shared as well regarding Brother Joshua. It's a little bit different. We're only going to focus on Brother Joshua's message. So this isn't a timeline video. We're just solely focusing on Brother Joshua's start and end time, and see if we can decipher any of his key messages that he's also added in October, and I believe this information is very critical. So let's start. First of all, we're using the calendars. This is all based off the Israel lunar cycles, okay, until the 2032. So I've remodeled the entire calendar into Excel, and we will start here at Brother Joshua's first original message posted on YouTube on the 10th of August. So you'll see here we have the full moon, the new moon, and we also have where it's got the half shade of white and beige. These are the half moons here. Now they could be, might not be specifically accurate, but this is my first time of working with lunar models and also the Jewish calendar. So, but the main emphasis is the full moon and the new moon. So as you can see here, Brother Joshua's video, it's very interesting, posted on the 10th. It was actually faithfully witnessed by the full moon. Very interesting, and we'll get back to that as well. Now, he said the Feast of Trumpets, 23rd and 24th of September. And so the tribulation was supposed to start on this day. So actually we have second piece of information that dropped, which was 14 shall pass, 15 shall pass, 16 and 17. So this is actually the finishing of the full message in its entirety, and this was also divinely given to Brother Joshua. So this is part 2 that is critically overlooked, I believe, by a lot of people, and this is referring to an Enoch calendar language. So continuous gates, cycles, this is a sort of language that I've managed to interpret it as. Now, my scriptural knowledge is quite basic, but I've sort of taken it on board and processed it in a way of looking at the Enoch language and going, okay, can we apply this and extrapolate any data from it? And the answer is yes, actually. So let's start off with Brother Joshua's first message. It was faithfully witnessed. Now, because there was nothing after, the gate actually closed. So it was a singular message. It was a singular cycle. As we move forward, we have the Feast of Trumpets on the 23rd and 24th, faithfully witnessed. Now, this is our very first cycle, and from here on, all the way through to December, we have a continuous running of open gates, and you'll see that below. So our first cycle commences here because Brother Joshua stipulated 23rd, 24th of September. Okay, then he received the second message, which was divine, so therefore it's faithfully witnessed, and that takes us through to the next gate. And these messages were 14 shall pass, 15 shall pass, 16 and 17. So again, the gate remains open until the next window, until the next moon cycle. Here we have the new moon, and we add in the first codec message of 14 shall pass, and you'll note that this fits perfectly within the lunar cycles. So we have 14, coming through, hits the next full moon. We go on to the 15 shall pass, and it's 15 days until the next lunar, and we have 16, and we come down and we have 17, right? So we have 7 gates, continuous gates open from here, the new moon, on the original message which was submitted. That was the original message from Brother Joshua. So we add the lunar, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, right? So the last one is 17, and I'll get to that in a moment. So regarding the numbers, now, happy for people to correct me, but as far as my understanding of digging into the Enoch language, when you have 2 continuous gates, we start with a 2, and so because the original was a new moon and 1 cycle, hence the number 11, and then we come down to the new moon, but because we had 2 continuous gates open, we start with a 2, but because it's the full moon, it's associated the value of 1. So you'll see here the new moon, so we have 1, 2 cycles, second new moon, 2 cycles again, third new moon, 2 cycles again, fourth moon, new moon. Continuous, and we apply the same to the new moon, but it's 1 number less. So we have 1, 2, and 3. So here we have 7 cycles of 23 and 24. Very interesting. So this is the current calendar, and we're currently, I've got the holiday seasons here, and we're looking at Hanukkah. Now, this is where I'm taking a very different path, a very different approach. Looking at this, Jesus said he's coming back on Feast of Trumpets. So what I've done is I've taken the codex all the way through. The last number was 17, and it spilled over the gate by 2 days. So I've remodeled the Jewish calendar. I've updated it. It should be in Kislev. But what this spreadsheet shows is it's like, okay, let's take this information from Brother Joshua and let's bridge a new calendar. Let's just bridge in a new calendar all the way through. So now, on this side, we commence the new calendar, and September 23rd and 24th. Now, looking at the Jewish calendar, I know they have Eve dates after the new moon. Again, it's a bit new to me, but because now we're following a strict lunar cycle, everything still is fixated to a block of time, and we can't change that. So even if it's an Eve date or the first day, we're still locked into the lunar cycle. So essentially what we're doing is we are pulling September, Tishri, down to December, but continuing to use December, January, where we're pulling it down and using the existing lunar cycles from this point forward, right? So it's a very different approach, but it's going to unveil some very interesting numbers, which you'll see. So we come down here, we bridge the 2 calendars, we reset the clock. December 21 is now Tishri, okay? September 23, 24, real Feast of Trumpets. So we transition, it's kind of like going over water. We synchronize Gregorian and Jewish calendars. December 21, 22 equals 23, 24. We have essentially calibrated the bridge using the lunar structure, 7 to 7, gate 24. These are the codex messages that led up to this point from Brother Joshua, and we are still faithfully witnessed onto the Feast of Trumpets. So nothing changes in that regard. We still have the new moon to see on the new month of Tishri, right? And of course, no one knows the day or the hour. So, regarding return Festival of Trumpets on the 23rd and 24th of September, we can say yes, okay, based on the data. Now, that's only if my interpretation of all this information is correct. Okay, it may not be. Others, I believe it's an Enoch language based message added to the original message. It's been applied, and this is the output of the data. So now let's move forward. So let's go right to the end. Right, let's go right to the end. So at the very end, now this is the old calendar. Now I'll explain the new calendar in a moment, but here we end on the new calendar, September 2032, and we finish up on the 15th of September, which is the end of the 42 months, end of the 1260 days, end of the 1290 Daniel, and the second coming of our Messiah, Jesus Christ, at Day of Atonement, Tishri 10. Okay, so let's explain this new calendar. So the calendar is sort of 4 in 1. So on the new calendar going forward, because it's September 23, 24, we simply reset the Gregorian calendar, and we now call this the calendar of September 2025, the 7th month, right, moving forward, because of Tishri. So we add in the Jewish, also from the same starting block. Now, the old Gregorian calendar is listed here. We're keeping the original framework. It's important to keep the original framework. So if we ever need to revert back to the original Gregorian calendar, we know that the first day always starts with the first. Simple. But because the Gregorian is fixated to this point, we count back. So we're going to see some months starting at 3 or 4 or 2 or 1. But just to keep it basic, I've only entered in the day that it starts off at the month and the end of the day count for that calendar of that month. So September 30 ends here, right? So you'll see we'll go up to October, and I've got listed here October 4th, and then I've got October 31. But if you want to look at the old calendar, you know that's January 1st, 2026. But we're looking at on the new calendar, 4th of October, 2025. Okay, so remember, all this lunar information is moving from December onwards. Okay, so let's look at the data. Let's look at the numbers, and you can download this. So we count the 11 days. That's why I love spreadsheets. It doesn't lie. And let's see what we found. I'll get straight into it. I'll start here with the 10th of August. So actually, we'll start from the end. 42 months, 1290, 1260. I'm sure everyone's intrigued by this. How I've sort of modeled this. So everything ends on the last day. So the 42 months, 1290, 1260 all end at the 15th of September. Let's go to it. Let's have a look. So we have the yellow is the first part of tribulation, and then the red is the Great Tribulation. So here we have in Adar, or the old calendar in June 2029, or the new calendar March 2029. So the end of the 1260 days finishes here, and then we start the Daniel 1290 days. So how I'm perceiving Daniel is like the overall calendar. It starts on this day and ends on this day. The Revelation calendar is like pinpointing specific places within the Daniel calendar. So Daniel is start to end. It's a continuous flow. Revelation is pinpointing the moment. So here, 42 months and 1260 days are actually separate. So the 42 months is the commencing of the Exodus on Nisan 1 and is witnessed by the new moon. Remember, we're taking the lunar from December and carrying that forward. I found that very interesting. And the Great Tribulation starts on the Passover on the 7th day, when it falls on a half moon. So the abomination of desolation, the Great Tribulation, 1260 days commencing here. So, and in this window here, obviously, we know what happens with the two witnesses as well. It makes sense, although completely open to interpretation. I'm only merely passing on information, and everyone has a right to review and make changes as they go along. But this is the data that is being extrapolated thus far. I come from an IT background, so my language is a little bit different, and I apologize. My scriptural knowledge is low, so I'm just talking to you in my language. Now, the Daniel 13:35, I've looked at this, and I know it's referring to the end, but this is very, very interesting. If you have a look here, after the second Brother Joshua message, 77 days until the real Feast of Trumpets. Let's go have a look. This was when the Enoch Codex was delivered to Brother Joshua. And if you count 77 days, which it's all here in the spreadsheet. So we go, click on it, and we have 22 days. So we actually have 20 days in December, and the 22, this is the bridge over here. The full 30 days and 25 days. So once the message was completely given to Brother Joshua, we have a day count of 77 days. I just found that very interesting. We have a day count of 89 days. This is the offset between the calendars. So this is the offset from real Feast of Trumpets to the Gregorian Feast of Trumpets, right? So I don't know if it's real or not. It's just what the data is showing. But when you do bridging the two calendars, the day offset is 89 days. Okay, that's also calculated. And what's interesting, I went straight to Psalms and I looked, and again, very interesting. And God's faithfulness and his covenant with King David, source of hope and faith, and also point of crisis and lament. This is just a summary. Straight after that, rapture, I went to Psalms 90. It's very interesting. We fly away. And looking at Brother Joshua's 10th of August message, which is 133 days from the 10th of August to the Feast of Trumpets, again, went to Psalms, blessing of unity among God's people, pilgrims traveling to Jerusalem. Wow, very powerful, very powerful. And what's also interesting, the 75 comes in with the Daniel 13:35, where the day count from the second divine message to finish off the current Gregorian calendar from this moment here to the 20th, so completing this calendar, so it's up to the new moon, that day count is 75 days. And when you add 75 days to 1260, you get 1335. So this is interesting. So I've used the logic of end from the beginning. Logic is used, subject for debate. 75 days plus 1260, tribulation. Maybe it's a blessing for those who fly away. Something to consider. So this here, this is the in effect the bridge with all the Enoch gates coming from both sides, and we're bridging the two calendars together. So we're taking the Gregorian and we're running it through, and basically, so we're coming down, bridging, and then doing a U-turn, coming all the way back here and pulling this calendar down and resetting it from here. That's essentially what this is. It's essentially the bridge. Okay, very different. A lot of people may not like it, but if Brother Joshua is saying that Jesus is coming on the Feast of Trumpets, September 23, 24, remaking the calendar, certainly shown to be very interesting, and moving forward with December lunar cycles onwards. And this is all the data that's been extrapolated. So 1335, 1260, 1290, we come through. This is a very critical junction right here. So the 7th day of Passover, very significant day, very also Nisan 1. It's essentially the Exodus from Egypt. And we have some time here for the two witnesses who were killed and then are risen. So all very interesting. Now, I must say, I'm not capable of this type of lateral thinking. This is far beyond me. My scriptural knowledge is very basic. I humbly present you this information. It's just not possible for me to come up with this on my own. It's far too lateral for me to come up with this information, although this has been a work in progress for quite some time. But I cannot claim any form of ownership on this data. It just simply, it's far beyond me. I want to share it with you, see what you think. Now, obviously, there may be some errors with the Jewish calendar regarding the first day and the eve day, but because we are locked into the lunar cycle, the data remains true, right? So let's say, for example, I have put an eve date here, but by the time you get to October and you reset the count, and if that's Tishri 29, if it happens to be that, then it happens to be that. But yeah, the spreadsheet's wonderful. It stays true. You can change it. I think this is a great foundation for people to work from, make their changes. Also, interpret the Enoch language. If someone interprets differently, input the data, and you may find a different bridge. So at this stage, we are looking currently Hanukkah 21st and 22nd. Bridges over to the Feast of Trumpets, September 23 and 24. I look at this information and I believe Brother Joshua was indeed visited by Jesus Christ and was sent to deliver this message. I believe that 100%. I just know it be true. Brother Joshua, his purpose is unity among God's people, pilgrims traveling to Jerusalem. Wow. I look at that, August 10th. I have cried over this multiple times. And I just hope people can correct my mistakes with this. Like I said, this is not from me. When I say me, it's coming maybe delivered from me, but this is through me, right? I don't have the lateral thinking to compile such a calendar. Brother Joshua is correct. Amen.